What if I told you that one man, one software nerd from Seattle, has been accused of microchipping humanity, engineering a fake pandemic, controlling the weather, running a secret depopulation program, and pulling the strings of the entire World Health Organization? Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Gates has somehow become the single most conspired about person on the planet. So today, we crack the file wide open. Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft, one of the wealthiest humans alive, and since roughly 2020, the most targeted private citizen in the history of internet conspiracy culture. Through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Gates has poured tens of billions of dollars into global health, vaccines, and poverty reduction. Noble, right? Maybe. But that level of power, that level of reach, that kind of money moving across borders into health policy and governments, that's exactly the kind of thing that makes people ask questions. Some of those questions are fair, some are completely unhinged. And tonight, we're doing all of them. Buckle up. Here's what the official record actually shows, folks. No editorializing, just the facts. Bill Gates co-founded Microsoft in 1975 and became one of the world's richest people. After stepping back from Microsoft, he and Melinda French Gates established the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which has distributed over $50 billion in grants focused on global health, infectious disease, and poverty. During COVID-19, the Gates Foundation committed hundreds of millions of dollars to research treatments and vaccines. Gates is also a major funder of Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and has long advocated for pandemic preparedness, including a now-famous 2015 TED talk where he warned the world's biggest threat wasn't nuclear war but an infectious virus. Prophetic? Yes. Suspicious? To some people, absolutely. But fact check. Org confirms. The Gates Foundation's vaccine and testing programs involve zero microchip technology and zero tracking implants. The BBC reported in 2020 that Gates became the focal point of COVID misinformation partly because of his high profile in pandemic preparedness. His name was already attached to vaccines and global health infrastructure when COVID hit, making him an easy target. That's the mainstream view. Philanthropist, tech billionaire, pandemic prophet, clean record officially. Now here's where it gets spicy, and this part is not conspiracy territory. This is legitimate credentialed criticism. Listen up. Professor Lindsay McGowey, sociologist at the University of Essex and author of No Such Thing as a Free Gift, The Gates Foundation and the Price of Philanthropy, argues that so-called philanthrocapitalism, billionaires saving the world through charity, doesn't actually empower the world's neediest or reduce inequality. McGowey's core argument: when one private foundation controls billions in global health funding, it sets the agenda. Governments and international bodies start dancing to the tune of whoever writes the biggest check. That's not democracy. That's not accountability. That's one man's worldview being imposed on billions of people who never voted for him. Critics also point out that the Gates Foundation's approach has historically favored high-tech, top-down, Western-designed solutions, vaccines and biotech, over systemic reforms like improving water sanitation, nutrition infrastructure, or addressing the root causes of poverty. The argument isn't that Gates is evil. It's that unchecked philanthropic power operating outside democratic structures is itself a problem, regardless of intentions. There are also legitimate questions about conflicts of interest. The Gates Foundation holds significant investment portfolios in pharmaceutical and agricultural companies that directly benefit from the very policies the foundation promotes globally. That's worth scrutinizing. Seriously. These are real debates happening in real academic and policy circles, not tinfoil hat stuff. Actual, uncomfortable, important questions about power, accountability, and who gets to decide what helping the world looks like. All right, folks, I have been waiting for this section. Our researcher tinfoil is here, and I have been told that today's briefing is a thick one. How thick are we talking?
I brought a second folder. That's all I'll say.
Oh, fantastic. 2 folders. Okay, hit me. Theory 1. Go.
Microchip vaccine. During COVID-19, a viral conspiracy claimed Gates planned to use the vaccine rollout to implant microchips in billions of people for global tracking. It spread so fast that the YouGov poll in 2020 found 28% of Americans believed it to some degree.
28% of Americans believed Bill Gates was personally chipping them like a golden retriever.
The origin traces to a misreading of Gates's comments about digital certificates for health records, which referred to digital health documentation, not subcutaneous hardware. But combine that with his 2019 funding of research into dissolvable microneedle patches. People connected dots.
Dots that were not connected.
Fact check. All confirmed no microchip technology exists in any approved COVID vaccine. The biology alone makes it implausible. The needle gauge used in vaccines couldn't deliver a functional chip.
Science says no, the needle is too small. Moving on, theory 2. Give it to me.
Depopulation agenda. A widely shared fake article titled Depopulation Through Forced Vaccination, the Zero Carbon Solution, was falsely attributed to Gates and recycled as recently as January 2026, according to fact-checkers.
He wrote an article about depopulation through forced vaccines.
He did not write it. The article was fabricated, but the theory behind it pulls from real Gates statements. He has spoken publicly about how improving child survival rates and access to contraception correlates with lower birth rates in developing nations. Taken out of context, that sounds like a plan.
A plan to have fewer people on the Earth.
In context, it's the demographic transition model, a well-documented development theory taught in universities worldwide. Out of context, it becomes the smoking gun. That's the machinery of this one.
Context, the great enemy of conspiracy theories. Okay, theory 3. What else you got in that folder?
Who control? The claim. Gates effectively controls the World Health Organization through funding, making him the unelected ruler of global health policy.
Unelected ruler of global health. Okay, I mean.
Here's the thing. The Gates Foundation is one of the largest funders of the WHO, second only to the United States government at certain points. That's documented. The question isn't whether the money exists, it's whether money equals control.
Does it?
Critics like McGoey would say that when you fund the agenda, you shape the agenda. Gates doesn't sit in the WHO boardroom giving orders, but his foundation's priorities, particular vaccines, particular disease targets, do tend to align remarkably well with WHO campaign priorities. Is that coordination, influence, or just shared goals?
Okay. I don't love that. That actually sounds less crazy than I wanted it to.
I told you, 2 folders.
Theory 4. Weather. I'm told we're doing weather.
Gates has funded solar geoengineering research, specifically a Harvard project called SCOPEX, which explored releasing aerosols into the stratosphere to reflect sunlight and reduce global warming.
He's trying to DIM the SUN.
That's the claim, yes. The conspiracy version says Gates wants to block sunlight to destroy agriculture and make humanity dependent on his investments in lab-grown food and synthetic crops.
Oh, it connects to the fake meat. It always connects to something else.
Gates is the largest private farmland owner in the United States. He has invested in synthetic food companies. He is funding sun-dimming research. Those are individually verifiable facts.
And together they become
A narrative. Whether that narrative reflects intent or is just pattern matching on a very rich man's portfolio, that's the question you have to ask yourself.
I need a minute. Okay, theory 5. Last one. Finish strong.
ID 2020. A Gates-funded initiative that aims to give every person on Earth a digital identity, starting with refugees and unbanked populations. The conspiracy version says it's the infrastructure for a global surveillance state, a digital ID that tracks every human movement, purchase, and behavior.
A global surveillance state run by Bill Gates.
The stated goal is humanitarian, giving stateless people access to banking, healthcare, and civic services. The concern raised by privacy advocates is about what happens when that infrastructure scales globally and who controls the data.
So it might be fine.
It might be fine, or it might be the most important privacy question of the 21st century dressed up as a charity project. I'm just saying, look at who benefits, look at the timing, and read the terms of service.
Nobody reads the terms of service.
Exactly. Here's where everyone lands. Mainstream sources fact check. The BBC, confirm that the most extreme claims, microchips in vaccines, Gates writing depopulation manifestos, and direct WHO mind control are false. Fabricated, misattributed, or built on deliberate misreadings of real statements. However, and this is the part where the mainstream and alternative views actually converge, even legitimate, credentialed critics like Professor McGoey agree that the concentration of private philanthropic power in one man's hands is a genuine democratic concern. The conspiracy theorists got the what wrong, no chips, no depopulation, but accidentally pointed at a real something. One private citizen wielding enormous, largely unaccountable influence over global health policy, agricultural land, food systems, and digital identity infrastructure simultaneously. Geoengineering research is real. The farmland ownership is real. The WHO funding relationship is real. ID 2020 is real. The conspiracy theories wrap those real things in a villain origin story that distorts and exaggerates them, but the underlying facts are not fiction. All right, here's the honest truth, and I'm going to give it to you straight. Bill Gates is not microchipping anyone. He did not write a depopulation manifesto, does not control the weather. These specific claims are demonstrably false, fabricated documents, misquoted statements, and viral misinformation that spread because people were scared and angry during a pandemic, and Gates was a highly visible target. Fact check. Org and the BBC have done the work. Those theories don't hold up. But the legitimate concerns about philanthrocapitalism, about one man's unelected influence over global health, agriculture, digital identity, and climate research, those deserve serious, grown-up scrutiny, not memes and fake articles. The problem with the wild conspiracy theories is they actually discredit the real, valid conversation. When you accuse Gates of putting chips in vaccines, serious people stop listening. And then nobody talks about the actual power dynamics, the actual conflicts of interest, the actual questions about democratic accountability. The craziest theories give cover to the stuff that genuinely deserves a hard look. Be skeptical, be curious, but bring receipts, real ones. That's the Bill Gates file officially closed, unofficially wide open. Drop your theory in the comments, hit subscribe if you want the next classified briefing, and remember,